Chapter 20. Reintroduction. The evening after the ritual, I sat into a large padded chair in our private quarters. Two of the dragons crawl over the dinner table, sniffing at chunks of meat I had cooked and diced for them. Mehrunes stalked around them, leading them to the food and stopping them from fighting over pieces by snapping his teeth and hissing at them. I smiled, knowing he was using his deathclaw instincts to establish himself as the alpha among the draconic trio. I still can't believe my eyes, Tyrion said as he sat next to me staring at the dragons with awe. Dragons. Actual dragons. Magic has long been returning to the world, my dear, I replied as I smiled as I watched the dragons exploring. I took a gamble with the eggs, and it paid off. It was a lie, of course. I hadn't taken a gamble. I had known what would happen the entire time. With actual dragons, Tyrion laughed. Simply spectacular. Have you thought of what to name them yet? As I was about to respond, a knock came to our chamber door. Robert stepped inside. Lord Amel and Lady Cosland, your grace. Let them in, I smiled, and Tyrion and I stood to greet them. Robert bowed his head. Soon enough, Alan and Serena stepped into the room, genuflecting. I motioned for them to join us at the table where the dragons were still wandering. They approached eagerly. A bit puny still, but I guess they'll grow. Alan chuckled as he looked at them. In a few years, they'll be bigger than the Red Keep, Serena confirmed. I was just asking Merida if she'd named them yet, Tyrion said. The three of them looked at me as if to silently repeat the question. The green one is Triana, I smiled. The white one is Aelfric. Let me guess, Alan smirked. The black one is Farron. A fine guess, I mirrored his expression. After all, no one would ride Farron except for me. But no. The black one is Mehrune. Serena offered a soft smile. Oh, that's a nice way to remember him. I giggled and shook my head. It's not in remembrance of him. It is him. Mehrune, say hello. Mehrune moved away from his siblings and moved to stand on the edge of the table in front of Serena. His red eyes stared up at her. Greetings, Commander. It is good to see you here as well. Serena gasped and lowered herself to put her nose to Mehrune's snout. Mehrune? Is that really you? It is, Mehrune nodded. Alan looked at me. Wait, are you telling me this is the Deathclaw you worked with from the Wasteland? I didn't know it could talk, Tyrion gasped. Serena stared at me in amazement. How? I shrugged lightly. I'm honestly not sure myself. While the fire was burning around me, I found myself in a dark void. A golden thread appeared, and I followed it to a vision of you and T'Pria, sitting next to Mehrune while he was in hospice. I watched him fade away, and saw his soul leave his body. I couldn't bear to see him fade away, I continued as I looked down at Mehrune, so I just reached out and grabbed it and pressed it to one of the dragon eggs. I was just trying to hold on to him. I didn't think it would bring him here, or turn him into a dragon. Merida, Alan said as he turned and looked at me intensely. Do you realize what you just said? I looked at Alan, my brows knitting in confusion. What do you mean? You basically just told us that while you were performing the ritual to bring the dragons back to life, you reached through at least 2 separate realities and pulled a soul from one reality to another, and essentially reincarnated it by placing it into a new vessel, Alan explained. I stared at Alan for a few moments as I considered what he'd said before, humming, Huh. I suppose you're right. How can you acknowledge that so casually? Alan shouted. It's not like I thought about what I was doing, I protested. I simply did it. Precisely, Alan tapped for emphasis. You didn't even think about it. You just casually did something that monumental. I understand what you're saying, Alan, Serena interjected, but I don't think it matters at the moment. Merida doesn't really exert her potential normally. This was a spur-of-the-moment effort that resulted in us being reunited with a friend. We don't need to think that deep into it. You're not curious about what she could actually do if she put her mind to it, considering what she did when she wasn't really trying? Alan asked incredulously. Not particularly at the moment, no, Serena puffed as she placed her fists on her hips. We've had the good fortune to be reunited with a dear friend, and you're focusing on Merida. We know she can do amazing things, but the focus right now is on Own Mayroon. Alan sighed in resignation. Very well. Serena turned and flashed Mayroon a smile as she scooped him up to bring him up to face. I'm so happy to see you again, Mayroon. We were so sad when you passed away. Mayroon bumped his small head against Serena's chin. It seems only a few hours since I've seen you, Serena. He turned his head to look at me. I'm still getting over the shock of seeing Merida again. Smiling, I walked over and stroked Mayroon's head. It will be good to have you with us for another adventure. I'm sorry, Tyrion sighed as he took his seat. I understand that you've told me about all of this before, but it seems I didn't fully appreciate the reality of what you were saying until just now. Are you saying that this is, indeed, the same Mayroon from your past life, the Deathclaw? One and the same, Mayroon replied as he turned his ruby gaze to Tyrion. Then everything else is true as well, Tyrion looked at me. The multiple lives, the magic, the strange machines and technologies you lament not having access to. It's all true? Quick steps brought me to him, and I took his hands into mine. Indeed it is. And how does his arrival affect your plans? Tyrion asked. I grinned at him. Oh, it adds a level of tactics that wouldn't have been possible if he hadn't. An intelligent dragon will change the game infinitely more than one that has a dragon's normal level of animal cunning. They won't be kept secret for long, Alan mused as he looked at the two smaller dragons. You'll need to lay the groundwork for those plans quickly. They aren't secret even now, Serena shook her head. Not with the small council having witnessed your stepping out of the ashes with them. No doubt most of them sent ravens as soon as they could put pen to parchment. Which means announcing their arrivals and setting plans in motion will need to happen soon, Tyrion hummed in thought. What if we sent word to the Gold Cloaks to announce that the Queen wishes to announce something at the foot of the Red Keep? That all who can attend do so. You can reveal the dragons to the nobles and commons all at once. Make a show of it. An inspired idea, husband, I gave a nod of approval. Shall we have them sent out first thing in the morning and plan to reveal them in the afternoon? I'll arrange it now, Tyrion smiled. He took his leave to send instructions to the Gold Cloaks and organize the event with the castle's staff. He's eager to please you, Mayroon noted as he looked up at me. Tyrion is a good man and a fine husband, I replied. Loyal and trustworthy. What will my role be in your efforts? Mayroon asked. I should think you'll be reprising your role as Alpha, I said, as I moved around the table to scoop up Triana and Elfric. These two will need someone who can rein them in. When they aren't carrying their riders, I want you to ensure that they're working efficiently, hunting the right prey, resting when required, and making their presence known where it is needed most. Mayroon tilted his head curiously. When not with their riders? Who will be riding them? I've yet to determine that, I confessed. But I'll be your rider. You think I'll be big enough to carry you? Serena and Alan both laughed. You'll be bigger than the Pridwin, Serena chuckled. Fast and more agile, too. And you'll be able to breathe fire, Alan pointed out. You'll be a living calamity, I added. You and your siblings. That's why I'll need your help in keeping them in line. I'd rather not have to use my magic to subdue them. Since they're young, I'll care for them and feed them personally, to imprint myself onto them. But you'll be the fail-safe, ensuring they don't do anything I wouldn't want them to do. I will not let you down, Caesar. Mayroon bowed his head. Serena tittered. This isn't the wasteland, Mayroon. Here you would call her your grace, or my queen. I'm not sure if he should be calling her anything around anyone within earshot, Alan said as he looked down at Mayroon. Living dragons will be one thing for people to wrap their heads around, but living talking dragons will be something entirely different. they'll be seen as a completely different type of threat. That's a fair point, I agree, as I took a piece of meat from the table, singed it with a simple spark of flame, and gave it to Triana and Elfric to eat. Mehrunes, I'll need you to not talk around anyone other than Serena, Alan, Tyrion, or myself. As you wish, Your Grace, Mehrunes nodded. Keeping your intelligence a secret will give us an additional advantage, I grinned. They'll treat you like a dragon, but they won't be as cautious as they would be if they knew you have a mind of your own. They'll let down their guard. I will strive to do my best for you, Your Grace, Mehrunes replied. I chuckled and stroked the top of his head. You can simply call me Merida. I doubt you'll ever need to speak around others for some time, so there's no need to be so formal. A knock from the chamber door just as Mehrunes was about to respond. In burst Varys, his robes uncharacteristically soiled, his cheeks and bald head flush with effort. His eyes were desperate as he lowered himself into a surprisingly clumsy bow. Your Grace, please, forgive me, but... He halted as he laid eyes on the dragons. His sense of urgency overrode his curiosity. There is an emergency. I lifted Mehrunes up and set him on my shoulder as I turned to face Varys. My dear Lord Varys, you seem rather put out. What could be so urgent that you burst into my chambers without Aegon? Varys adjusted his posture to regain some of his composure. It is that very subject that I've come to inform you about, Your Grace. It seems my longtime friend Illyrio has decided that he would prefer to push young Aegon's claim to the throne. My expression grew dour, and I crossed my arms in growing irritation. Go on. Yes, Your Grace, Varys replied as he caught his breath. Illyrio has called upon the Golden Company to join Aegon. They have set sail and will be arriving in the Stormlands within the week. And how is it you are here to warn us? Serena's eyes narrowed. It would be quite convenient for us to prepare a defense in the Stormlands, only for them to arrive here in Blackwater Bay? Varys looked both offended and shocked. My Lady Cousland, I assure you that I would never desire to betray our queen. I was only able to slip away by saying that I was going to prepare my contacts here in Westeros. My ruse was discovered, however, and I was harried halfway across the narrow sea. I have faced many difficulties just to get here and inform the queen of this threat. It doesn't matter, I said definitively. Call the small council immediately. We'll give our guests a warm welcome.